Welcome to Guide to IELTS. In this video, we'll be working on an essay, the kind that you need to write for writing task 2 of IELTS, both academic and general. The essay should be of at least 250 words and has to be written in 40 minutes. The sample essay we'll work on today is of reason-solution format. In this type of essay, you're given a statement which mentions a problem, and you are asked to write the reasons or causes for this problem and how it can be solved. Before we start, some quick tips for essay writing. Do not write your essay in points, write complete sentences. Use a variety of words, and it does not just mean big words. Make sure you answer all parts of the question, and finally, write notes, plan your essay. You can write notes on your question paper, but only the answer sheet will be checked by the examiner. The essay topic that we have chosen for today is, nowadays traffic jams are common across all the cities in the world. Why is it so? What can be some possible solutions? So the first step in the essay writing process is read the question carefully, understand the question. This is something that we tend to take for granted, and I've had students who would come out of the test center, discuss the question, and realize that their writing was a little off topic because they did not read the question carefully. For example, this question mentions cities, so we have to focus on urban regions. Then it is about cities across the world, so that means it would help to think beyond the local issues and reasons, and then identify all parts of the question that need to be answered. In this question, there are two parts. First, why, which means the reason for the problem, and second, the solutions to the problem. Second step is plan the essay. You're allowed to write notes on the question paper, but these will not be seen by the examiner, only the answer sheet will be checked. If you choose computer-delivered IELTS, you're given a paper and a pencil, and you can plan your essay using these. If you want, pause this video now and try to think about what points you would write to answer this question. So, let's plan today's essay now. The first part of the question is, why are traffic jams so common? We'll list some of the reasons now. First, poor public transport. Second, there are same office timings for most people, which leads to peak hour traffic. Next, it's cheaper to buy cars, maybe because car loans are cheaper. So it's easier for people to buy cars, because of which there are more cars on the road. Next, ill-maintained roads. We could write an example of potholes on the roads. And lastly, we could say that there are not enough police officers on the road, because of which people don't follow traffic rules. A tip: if you can't think of points, try to think from somebody else's perspective. We are, after all, talking about a problem which people all over the world are facing. Try to imagine why there are traffic jams in some other parts of the world. Now on to the solutions. Well, we have listed the problems, now we'll list the solutions. So first, improve public transport, that was the first problem. Second, maybe increase tax on private vehicles so that it can discourage people from buying more private vehicles and encourage usage of more public transport. So, increase tax on private vehicles. Third, government could make rules to limit the number of cars per household. Next, have flexible working hours. Give option of working from home so that there is no rush hour traffic or peak hour traffic. Next, maintain the roads better. So, better maintenance of roads. And lastly, have more traffic personnel, better trained police personnel on the roads. Obviously, these points would vary from person to person. If you can think of points different from these, do write them in the comments below. Moving on now, step 3. Consciously think of the vocabulary that you could use, and if needed, write it down. For example, in this essay, certain words that we know we can use are, For traffic jams, we can write traffic congestion. We can write rush hour traffic if we are mentioning morning or evening traffic, peak hour traffic. Then for government, we have words like authorities. For cities, urban regions or urban areas, we can even use towns if relevant. Across the world, we could write worldwide or across the globe. So words and phrases like that. Now on to the next step, the fourth step. Finally, start writing the essay. So the basic essay writing format that we follow is, in the first paragraph, write the introduction. Second paragraph, we list the reasons, which will answer the first part of the question. Third paragraph would be the solutions, and lastly, the conclusion in the fourth paragraph. It's important to understand that this format is one of the many possible ways to write such an essay, and it is certainly not the only correct method. Now on to writing the essay. The simplest way of writing the introduction paragraph is to paraphrase the statement in the question. That is, to write the question using different words. The first statement in the question is, nowadays traffic jams are common across all the cities in the world. So we can write the introductory paragraph as, traffic congestion is becoming increasingly frequent in urban regions all over the world because of a variety of reasons which need to be identified so that this problem can be solved. So what I've done here is paraphrase the statement and then add that there are many reasons for this problem. Now we start the second paragraph, which will answer the first question, which is, why is it so? First of all, write the topic sentence for the paragraph, which would tell what we'll be writing about in the paragraph. In this case, there are a number of reasons for the increasing traffic jams. Then we go on to making sentences using the points in our planning. Our first point was about poor public transport. So the sentence we'll make using this is, firstly, inadequate public transport is one of the reasons that most people choose to travel by private vehicles, and the usage of these private vehicles leads to increase in traffic on the roads. The second point that we had in our notes was about peak hour traffic, about office timings being similar. The first point we started writing with firstly. The second one we'll start with secondly. Secondly, office timings are usually the same and there's a lot of rush hour traffic in mornings and evenings. The third point we had was about cheaper car loans. We'll write it as, thirdly, it is becoming easier and cheaper by the day to get car loans, because of which more people are buying cars. Next point, lots of potholes on the road in the cities and the roads are poorly maintained. So let's write it. Fourthly, there are potholes on roads in many cities because the roads are poorly maintained, which slows down the traffic. On to the last point, which was about insufficient staff in traffic police. So the fifth and the last point for the reasons is, lastly, in some places there is insufficient staff in traffic police. Therefore, people do not obey the traffic rules, leading to chaotic and slow traffic. The next paragraph, the third paragraph, will answer the second part of the question. What can be some possible solutions? Once again, we start the paragraph with a topic sentence that tells what the paragraph will include. So the topic sentence for this one can just be, however, certain measures can help solve this problem of traffic jams. Now we start listing the different points we had for improvement. The first one was improve public transport. In the second paragraph, we had started the points with firstly and then moved on to secondly, thirdly. This one we'll start with to begin with. So the first point we have written as, to begin with, authorities should make good public transport system a priority. Increased usage of public transport will not only reduce traffic jams, but it will also have the added benefit of decrease in air pollution. Now we move on to the second point we had about more taxes and about some rule about how many cars a family can have. Moreover, the government can have rules which do not allow one household to have more than 2 cars. Another option is to increase the taxes on purchase of private vehicles. The next point we had was about flexible office timings, about working from home. So the sentence we write is, furthermore, offices can have flexible timings for their employees, and if possible, the employees should have the option of working from home. In the last sentence of this paragraph, we'll club together the points about traffic police and about better maintenance of roads. Last but not the least, more and well-trained traffic personnel and better maintenance of road would go a long way in better management of traffic. Now the last paragraph, the conclusion. Before writing the conclusion, check the number of words that you have written. You should have written a minimum of 225 to 230 words on the assumption that your conclusion would be of approximately 25 to 30 words. Secondly, read the question once again to ensure that you answer it properly in the conclusion. In case of this question, we have to list the reasons and give solutions. We don't have to give our opinion. For example, we don't have to specify whether we agree or disagree with a statement. So the conclusion can be written as, to sum up, traffic jams are a major issue worldwide, but this can be solved by the combined effort of the general public and the government. Finally, fifth and the last step, revise your essay. So just to review the 5 steps that we have discussed of the steps to write an IELTS essay. Read the question carefully, plan your essay, think about the vocabulary, then write the essay and finally revise it. You can find this essay and more at our website www.guidetoielts.com. The link to this essay on the website is in the description of this video. If you found this video useful, do like, share and comment and subscribe to our channel. If there are any particular writing questions that you want us to write sample essay on, or if you have any questions about anything else related to IELTS, ask in the comments and we'll try to answer these questions in our forthcoming videos. Bye for now from Guide to IELTS team.